Hello, wrestling fans. Welcome to the Sportster. My name is Norman Quarrinton, and what you're about to see is a chat between myself and the one and only Mr. Shane Taylor of Ring of Honor, the titular Shane Taylor of Shane Taylor Promotions, who have a very big match coming up on Sunday, September 12th at Death Before Dishonor, which is a big Ring of Honor pay-per-view that's taking place at the 2300 Arena, formerly known as the ECW Arena, very prestigious venue in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Bell time is at 7 p.m. Eastern, and you can catch that on pay-per-view or on Honor Club. And yeah, without further ado, please enjoy my interview with former Ring of Honor TV champion, current six-man Ring of Honor tag champion, Mr. Shane Taylor. I mean, you and Kenny King, you kind of have a score to settle because he, as I recall, he cost you the Ring of Honor title like not that long ago. So do you feel like you still have a score to settle with Kenny?
I am going to always have a score to settle with Kenny.
Interesting.
The title being one thing, right? Mm-hmm. Like for me personally, there are very few people who I allow to get that close to me, that I allow in my space. Growing up the way I did, you keep a lot of people at arm's length. Very few people have ever gotten as close to me as Kenny did. The only people that you could probably count are guys like Keith Lee or Ray Rowe, people that, that I see as older brothers, you know what I mean? Yeah. People that have always looked out for me, that have sort of guided me. And guys like Caprice Coleman as well. Like it's a very short list of people. Mm-hmm. And so for someone like that to turn their back on me, for someone like that to cost me the most prestigious championship in wrestling, knowing how important it was to me, how important it is to me, knowing the goals that I'm trying to reach, the history that I'm trying to make, more importantly, why I'm trying to make them, to know the path that I'm on, and for him to be the one that cost me that, that goes past wrestling. You know what I mean? Like that's why it took me so long to address Kenny. That's why I addressed him at first the way I did, because my mind wasn't on wrestling payback. My mind was, the next time I see you, it's on site. Like that's what my mentality was. But when you're a leader, when you are someone that is trying to build a movement, build what we're trying to build and represent what we're trying to represent as TP, you can't allow personal things to derail that, right? Like this is bigger than any one individual. It's bigger than me. Mm-hmm. It's bigger than Kenny. So that's where my focus is trying to be when it comes to not only dealing with Kenny, but the title match this Sunday. Yeah. I allowed my emotion to cost us the 8-man tag that was just on Ring of Honor TV. Yeah. Defending these championships is more important than my emotion. Defending these championships is more important than revenge. This is the platform that we have to be able to spread the message that we have. And so winning this match and defending these championships comes first and foremost.
Yeah. That's wild, yeah, because that's what I was going to say. I mean, there's this personal grudge between you and a former friend, but there's 4 other guys in the mix, you know? Right. It's gonna get pretty interesting because I mean, are you guys gonna just go at it while the other 4 guys just sort of hang around and watch, because the big bad blood is between you and your old friend.
Knowing Kenny the way I do, knowing the way he strategizes, and I'm sure he's changed some things up while he's been with LFI, as I would expect him to. But there's absolutely no way he's going to let me come straight at him in that match. He's going to send Bestia Del Ring after me. He may even send Dragon Lee, you know what I mean? But I've got a score to settle with him too, right? He need me in the face with a chain to take my TV title. A match I've never gotten a rematch for, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Man.
Which I'm not surprised about. Ring of Honor, it's all good.
Of course, yeah.
But Khan and Moses know what's at stake. They know, they're fully aware. We've gone over the game plan with O'Shea, with Ron. We've tried to look at every possible detail. We even played back the 8-man to see where I messed up,
Okay.
And they talk to me about where my focus needs to be, and sort of continuing to handle business, whether or not I think someone's hurt, injured, or whatever. The goal is the goal. The objective is the objective. We achieve the objective, and then we sort out the rest after the fact. So my team has gotten me in a pretty good space mentally. And when I'm ready to go, we go as far as I can take us. And then they carry us the rest of the way. So for me, and even sitting here right now, right, like all I want to do is punch him in the face. You know what I mean? So like, I'm struggling with it right now. You know what I mean?
Of course, yeah. So it's like waiting for Christmas or something. Wait until Sunday.
It really kind of is, and I know like a lot of people aren't fighters, but when there's someone that has been asking for it, and you've been waiting to give it to them, and you're only a few short days away from that. You get that. It is very much like that waiting for Christmas feeling. Like okay, like it, and there's no nerves. I'm not anxious. Like I'm fully ready and prepared. It's just I want to get it done.
I mean, it's funny you mentioned the tape, like you were watching the tapes back, because I mean, one of my questions was going to be, how do you prepare for big matches like this, and if there's a difference between preparing for just your typical match to preparing to like a big sort of, I don't want to say grudge match, but like a match with all these stakes. I mean, other than watching tapes, do you have any kind of like, I don't know if you're a praying man, do you have any sort of luck rituals that you sort of try to abide by before all these big moments?
I have my faith, yes. But for me, and it's funny because this is something that I was talking to Caprice Coleman about, who is a preacher. He advised me when it first happened, and we talked, and he knew because he heard from me before anybody else did, right? Yeah. And he knew where I was at then, and he advised me to calm down, to let it breathe, to forgive, to not go out after vengeance. And I told Caprice then, if vengeance belongs to God, then he can have it back when I'm done. Whoa, you know what I mean? Because I just can't let people disrespect me and continue to walk around like they haven't, what I mean? Or let them walk around untouched. So, and I was willing to give Kenny a pass because I wanted to continue to try to be in the same mentality that I needed to be a leader, to be the man that I promised my kids that I would be, to be the man that I promised my father and my mother that I would be. Kenny seems to want to be testing that. And anybody that knows me knows that's a very bad idea. And so now I'm going to have to explain to him why that is on Sunday. Yeah.
So the show is at the
2300 Arena. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The former home of ECW.
Yep.
How have you wrestled there before? Have you performed there before?
I have a few times now.
Okay.
The crowd when we were just at Glory by Honor was absolutely incredible. They gave us so much energy, so much emotion. They were so loud, so passionate. The whole building, you could just feel the Raptors shaking, people going STP. And so I expect no less going into Battle this Sunday. I expect them to be out in full force again, for them to make their voices heard, and carrying that energy into Battle. Man, that's going to be fantastic.
So it makes a big difference when because you worked for a while without any fans in attendance, which I think.
Driver's going.
Oh no, you're good. You're good.
Okay. I was like, damn, that's
stuff out. So you worked for like a long time with no fans.
Right.
How important is it to have those fans back? I mean, you guys actually did I thought Ring of Honor did a really, really impressive job in just sort of continuing the product in the absence of live fans. I think you guys did a really good job. You yourself had a bunch of really great matches without the fans to sort of feed off. Is there anything you miss about not having fans?
I think it's just two different things and two different ways to approach it. Like, I think a lot of people got to see a lot of the subtleties of what I do without there being fans, right? Because you get to hear the shots more, you get to hear the trash talk, you get to feel that vibe and that intensity more, because there's no other sound around you. Your eyes are solely focused on what you're seeing. And I think that just adds a different aspect to what I do. Now, when there's fans there, to me, it's like the difference between being safe as a boxer or trying to put on a show, right? Yeah. When there's no fans, okay, it's just time to go to work. My only job is to punish this man and beat him. That's it. Right. When there's fans there, okay, now I want to go for that knockout. Now I want to make sure that there is, that this fight ends in spectacular fashion. You know what I mean? So that's what I think having fans brings back is it changes the attitude of a lot of the performers, me especially, to go out there and maybe risk a little bit more, maybe do a little bit more, maybe try to go for that spectacular knockout, or submission or what have you, to really just leave them with their jaws dropped and going home happy.
Absolutely. I feel that. And then aside from fans, I mean, just being at that venue, do you feel does it feel important when you're in there? Can you feel that history, that prestige? Do you feel like you need to up your game more when you're in a sort of, I guess, hallowed venue like that? I don't know.
Absolutely. Anywhere you go, and I don't think it's just wrestling, but in any venue, right? If you're a ball player and you go to Madison Square Garden, right? You're like, damn it, I'm in the Garden. I need to show out, right? Because you know who's played there before you. You know the kind of history that's been there, the games that they've had. So it's always very important when you go to these venues to sort of pay your respect to it by doing the absolute best that you can. And the 2300 is no different from all of the ECW guys to the great events that have happened in there, to all the performances that they've had from Hall of Famers down the line. When you step into that building, it's time to step your game up, and that's exactly what we plan on doing.
Awesome. So you've been wrestling since 2007, right? So I know you're only in your 30s still, but that's kind of a long time. Do you consider yourself a veteran? Is that a word you've used?
It's not a word that I use, but it's a word that's been used for me.
Okay.
Only because the way I see myself is we're all a work in progress, right? Okay. So I've just happened to be doing this longer than some other people. Doesn't mean I know more. That doesn't mean I know more than them or anything else like that. It is what it is. But I've seen a lot. I've done a lot. Been around a lot. And so I'm able to provide and sort of teach from the experiences that I've had and the resources that I've had at my disposal. And so that's what I think a lot of people take from me is that, hey, I'm not going to give you advice that I wouldn't follow, and I'm not going to tell you to do something that I wouldn't do. And I'm only telling you things, not necessarily even from my opinion. I'm telling you things that I was told. I'm telling you things that work for me. If they work for you, great. But I always tell people this too. My way is a very direct way. My way is not for everybody. You know what I'm saying? So there's good and bad, but hopefully the reactions are more positive. For sure. And people feel as though when they talk to me that they've been led the right way. Yeah.
I mean, like I said, you've been wrestling for a long time, but I mean, to me, it doesn't feel like you've peaked yet. Do you feel the same way? Do you feel like there's still there's still a long way for you to go to reach the sort of pinnacle of your career?
Oh, for sure. I think the absolute best of Shane Taylor, not only just myself, but of Shane Taylor Promotions as a whole, is still very much in front of us. I've made no mistake about it that I feel as though my goal and my destiny is to win the Ring of Honor World Championship. There's only been one African-American male in the 20-year history of ROH to do it, and that's been Jay Lethal. I think it is far time that I add some company to that list, and I add some company on the top of that mountain, because the Ring of Honor World Championship is one that should be talked about with reverence, along with every other world championship in this sport. To me, it's disrespectful that it's not, especially when you see the fact that damn near every other top star in every company around the world is from Ring of Honor. So for me, it is important to do that and accomplish that goal and achieve that dream, because that's what I set out to do. Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned the sort of lack of diversity in the title's lineage. I mean, as a black wrestler, how important do you think it is for young black wrestling fans to see people like you, to see people like Bobby Lashley, the New Day, to see people like them succeed? I know obviously there's like a long way to go, but do you think do you think progress is being made, and do you think it's important?
I definitely think progress is being made. You mentioned some tremendous talent, and not just the men, but you look at people like Trish Adora, Big Swole, Tasha Steelz, Savannah Evans, and we could go up and down the list, right? Of just fantastic champions up and down the board. Wanting to see yourself on TV and be successful, wanting to be able to relate to who you see on the screen is human, right? And it's very important that companies understand, just because you have black people on your roster, it's not enough. Just because you make black people champions, it's not enough. You have to be able to develop these characters, understand where they're from, why they're from, like what their motivations are, put them in storylines that allow them to grow and add depth of character the same way you do with our counterparts. To be able to do that and give people something that they can invest in, that is what counts. That is what's imperative. People want to see and be a part of that representation, and to be one of the people in the forefront of that movement makes me proud. Because it's something that I know that is a righteous cause, and it's one that people are getting behind and they support. And yes, there's still a long way to go, but it doesn't just stop at talent. It goes to management as well, because people need to understand in marketing, in creative, in ownership, in everything, and everything else. You can't market all black people the same. We're not all the same, right? We have different things. You have some of us who are very serious, some of us who are goofy. You have every genre and every subculture of every genre you have in any other group of people, you have in us, right? That is what is so awesome about people like the New Day. They reach that anime, comic book, sort of nerdy, goofy, silly fan base, right? That it's okay to be yourself and love these things and do cosplay and just be yourself. Be silly, be goofy, throw pancakes if you want to, right? Like that's what's so dope about them. And then you had, groups like the Hurt Business, right, who are like the complete opposite of that, right? They're both still very proud of who they are. And it was like, no, we're gonna come to work in suits, beat your ass, and go home. You know what I mean? And so you can run the gamut of every single thing, and we represent that too. So for us, and especially when you get into marketing and things like that, you can't market someone from Brooklyn the same way you do if they're from Atlanta. They're not the same person.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? Culture is not the same. Reasoning, logic, the whole nine, it's not the same. So to be able to have people in that creative space that understand history, and understand how things are the way they are, why they are, that allows you to be able to bring things out of your talent to give to your fans that, other places won't. So I'm looking forward to continuing the fight, to continuing the progress, and very happy about where it's going.
Cool. I mean, yeah, and you mentioned the Hurt Business there. So, I mean, a guy like MVP, who is just sort of, took a hiatus from WWE, came back, and I mean, not necessarily reinvented himself, but the role that he is in right now is so pitch perfect.
He's evolved it. He's evolved it.
Yes, exactly. And is that something maybe you could see yourself doing somewhere down the line, like sort of being a mouthpiece manager who maybe when if you're in semi-retirement, can you see yourself in a role like that?
Anything is possible. I think once I do decide to leave the ring, which isn't anytime soon, but once I decide to do that, my calling will be more so in the character development side of things. Helping people with promos, ideas, seeing who they are, seeing who they want to be, and figuring out the best path to get there and develop that. That's something that I enjoy doing for myself. That's something that I'm able to help bring out of others. And so I think that's probably where my focus will be, because to truly let people shine, I don't think you can necessarily talk for them, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
You kind of just have to let them do their thing. Mm-hmm. But it absolutely works for some. But for most, they're going to grow and learn the most when it's them doing it, right? So and huge shouts out to MVP, to Lashley, to Shelton, to Cedric, absolutely crushing it for the time that they were together, and MVP as well. For being gone, coming back, evolving, and for all intents and purposes, having the absolute best thing on that show for a very, very long time.
Absolutely,
So, to come back and put up numbers, you know what I mean? Like that's Jordan shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
sorry,
man.
But
that's absolutely fine. That's fine. I mean, the Hurt Business, like you said, I mean, it was such it was short-lived, bizarrely. I feel like nobody knows why they pulled the plug on that whole thing so early. Luckily, I mean, MVP and Lashley are killing it, but
you can take your guesses as to why. But
well, yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, but yeah, man. I mean, hey, Shane Taylor Promotions, you guys are absolutely killing it.
Absolutely.
Nobody's pulling the plug on you anytime soon. I'm sure you're not going to let that happen.
Not at all.
I mean, we've talked about. You just said you would like to go into sort of the creative side of stuff post retirement. But I mean, for the immediate future, just the immediate near future, what's next for Shane Taylor? What's next for Shane Taylor Promotions?
If you go on to ROHWrestling.com, or if you check out their Twitter at ROH Wrestling, you'll see the next thing that I'm trying to do is bring Trish Adora into the fold for Shane Taylor Promotions. She is the Pan-African Diaspora World Champion. She is one of the absolute best women in the world at this. And she just lost in the semifinals of the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship tournament. But tournaments are a tough thing. And for me, I feel as though that she's been sort of trying to be, she's been trying to find herself on this platform. She's been the Trish Adora that I think she wants Ring of Honor to see. Mm-hmm. The problem is we want her to be the Trish Adora we see, and that we see absolutely dominate the independents, absolutely control every crowd, every building that she's in front of. And when she brings that energy to Ring of Honor, when she finds that on this stage, I have no doubt in my mind she is going to be the face of the Ring of Honor women's division and eventually be Ring of Honor Women's World Champion. It's simply just a matter of time. And so that will be the goal, to not only defend the 6-man titles, but to help Trish, Adora, hopefully bring her in. Ron's drawing up the paperwork now. Bring her in, help her establish that, get her to where she needs to be, and continue to help my guys grow. Because there's no reason that O'Shea Edwards shouldn't be TV champion. There's no reason that Conor Moses shouldn't be tag team champions. There's no reason why Shane Taylor shouldn't be Ring of Honor world champion. All those goals will eventually be crossed off the list.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, very, very nice of you to put over a bunch of people before we sign off. Really appreciate your time, man, and good luck on Sunday.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
No worries, mate. Take it easy.